One of the greatest writers, one of the greatest American writers, one of the greatest writers ever is Samuel Clemens, his pen name, Mark Twain. And he was a riverboat captain on the Well, he was a riverboat I guess. What was he a captain? He wasn't a captain.
He was a pilot.
He was a pilot. Thank you. And he lived in Hannibal, Missouri, and it's one of the great things to go and see around St. Louis. So why haven't you gone? To talk about Mark Twain's boyhood home and museum, Doug Nickrent. Doug, welcome back to Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you very much.
This is a 10-year anniversary of what? What happened 10 years ago?
10 years ago, the firm I work with, which is PGAV Destinations, we do design work,
Right.
Helped the Mark Twain Boyhood home actually renovate the boyhood home, the actual home that Samuel Clemens lived in growing up.
Right. Pretty daunting task for someone to knock on your door and say, hey, can you help us redo one of the greatest writers' homes?
One of the greatest writers' homes is really small.
Yeah.
Really wasn't built for tourists.
Right.
So to take that and figure out how to get thousands of people through it in a day, and then tell them great stories while you're in there is quite a chore.
How many people visit Mark Twain's home every year?
I would think hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of millions. Hundreds and hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I thought I read that somewhere. All right. So what did you do? How did you fix it? How did you change it? How did you make it user friendly?
Well, other people had done the actual renovation of the house, the structural, the painting, to getting it ready. And our job was to figure out how to tell stories about Samuel Clemens and get people to connect with him as a human being. And what better way to do that than to do it in the home where he grew up.
Right.
So our job was to really install exhibits and storytelling devices in a little visitor center next door and then in the home itself to connect people with Samuel Clemens.
Right. Do you still have that sort of video room in the back there? Is that right? Where it shows the movies?
We took out the video room, and that all was created as a big exhibit space. So we've got a printing press in there. We've got all kinds of interpretives in a little building that actually used to be a Pizza Hut right next door to the
all right.
to the home.
Was there anything interesting or that you guys found in the home while you were trying to do these, renovations that?
One of the most fascinating things we found was we were going through their collection of artifacts. And we were working with Henry Sweets, who's the director there, and we were just going through piles and piles of stuff. And we found this big old skeleton key. I mean, the thing's like 6 inches long and big around and fat. And we said, what's this all about? And he says, well, that's the key to the jail. And we're like, the key to the jail? And that reminded us of a story that we had read in one of his books, Life on the Mississippi, where Samuel Clemens as a boy had loaned matches to a jail inmate, and they'd burned down the jail. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't find the key to let the guy out. So, so he died in the jail. And
Right.
Samuel Clemens carried that with him all his life because he felt responsible.
You don't think that was the same key?
It was.
Really?
Wow.
So we use that as the basis of an exhibit. And we found all kinds of interesting things just in their collection that we could bring out and make those connections.
Yeah. It says here, in the last 10 years, 500,000 guests from all over the world have come to Hannibal. So 500,000, you got to build it. It is small, but you do get to see the rooms, the front rooms, the upstairs rooms. I think it's in a remarkably good shape, considering you also left that sort of cobblestone road out front there to get a sense of what it's really like.
Yeah, that cobblestone road with the hill, and you walk right out the steps and onto the hill. It's a challenge. It's a challenge in heels.
The levee is there clearly for the flooding, but you can literally walk right to the Mississippi and think about that levee wasn't there when he was there. Mm-hmm. So talk about life on the Mississippi. You lived on the Mississippi River.
He was right there, and steamboats would dock right there in Hannibal, which is how he writes that everybody in Hannibal, every boy in Hannibal wanted to be a riverboat pilot, and he made it.
Yeah. Anything new we should pay attention to coming up in the next weeks and months and years?
Well, they just opened the Becky Thatcher House after a long renovation of that home, which is right across the street from the Boyhood home.
Right.
So they opened that on the 29th.
Okay.
So that's brand new. It has new exhibits coming when they get funding. In fact, we've been engaged to work on more exhibits in the Becky Thatcher home to tell the story of the real Becky Thatcher, Sarah Hawkins.
Right.
who lived across the street from Samuel Clemens.
Sure. And do they still have that Norman Rockwell sort of place, caddy corner over there?
They do. The museum itself,
Yeah.
it's called the Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum, and down the street is the museum, and they have a fantastic Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, they got a lot of good
Really
stuff there.
beautiful stuff.
It's also, you can take 61 right there, right up to Hannibal.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes.
45 minutes, and then there's the River Road that you can take up there.
Which I prefer. It takes you up through Clarksville.
Right.
and
What is that?
That's where you
that,
went, didn't you?
Is that 79?
I think so.
It's 79,
I think so.
and that takes you right along the river. Boy,
beautiful drive.
what a fun drive that is.
It's a beautiful drive, and Clarksville is worth a stop. If
Right.
you get into Louisiana, it's nice. Yeah.
Holy mackerel. That's a great Sunday, Tuesday afternoon drive. Takes you maybe an extra 15 minutes maybe. But you're guaranteed to stop off at an antique store or whatever else. I ended up buying a chair in one of those places. All right.
Are there any descendants of Mark Twain that are still, in that area that, or Samuel Clemens that you
There
were
may
able
be
to?
distant relatives. I don't know that there are any direct descendants
Yeah.
of Mark Twain.
website to find out more?
Boyhood Home. Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum.com.
Mark Twain, Boyhood Home and Museum.com, Hannibal, Missouri, 45 minutes away. Take the kids. It'll be a great ride. That is Doug Nickrent, PGAV Destinations Exhibit Director, Exhibit Designer, I should say. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
10-year anniversary of the redoing of Mark Twain's Boyhood Home. Go up and see it. It is a blast.